Good morning. This is Carlton Coon. Welcome back to Ministry Monday. I hope you had a great day yesterday in church. Many of us are finally being able to reopen. Pastor friend in Australia told me he gets to reopen next week. And it's certainly not business as usual, but I'm thankful that I'm getting to see God's people for a change. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. The last couple of weeks I've been talking with you about the importance of our being part of a healing church. And I have made the observation that I believe that there are far too few healing churches in North America and in all likelihood around the world. And I pointed out some characteristics of those who are going to be leaders of healing churches, because there can be no healing church if that leader is not oriented toward this being the reality that that exist in that church. Let me take one more of those characteristics regarding the leader of a healing church, and that is that leader is less oriented to service within the temple and more oriented to bloody people along the road. Now, Jesus did not discount the work that the priest and the Levite were going to do whenever they passed by the bloody man on the road. That needed to be done, but it was not the priority. The issue is our priorities. When our priorities become something that is, well, this is what I'm comfortable with. You see, dealing with bloody, hurting, wounded people is never easy. It's never comfortable. It's never within most of our comfort zones. We'd rather go preach a good sermon. We'd rather go have the choir sing to us, or the praise team, or whatever. And so we struggle a little bit. But the leader, and I have mentioned those who have spoken into my life and who have reached out to me at times of great difficulty and have come by and just put a hand on my shoulder, or maybe they've hugged me close and prayed with me and for me. And that hug and that prayer becomes a touch of healing hope, that somebody cares, that somebody is interested in me. I read of a bus route in England that went through parts of London that were known as Bagnall, and it was publicly announced that the bus would not be making stops on the Hanley-Bagnall route. Why? Because if the bus made stops to let people on, it would not be able to maintain its schedule. Can you imagine the bus just circling through town? Because if it stopped to let people on, it couldn't maintain it. You talk about forgetting what your purpose was. Whoever was operating that particular part of the bus system had forgotten their mission. How often do we lose sight of our purpose? I can preach good sermons, and those sermons not have healing words. I can take my Bible and I can beat and I can batter and I can abuse God's wonderful sheep, or those who are at the moment the spiritually unborn. And in my treatment of the spiritually unborn, it can be something that results in their being stillborn or aborted. I don't want that. I'd rather slow down and my message be 4 minutes and not a single person say, boy, that's the best I've ever heard you preach, and be able to reach out and minister to people. Yesterday at church, I just felt to go back to a couple that were with us, and I just took some time, and of course we're not able to touch as we normally would. Usually I'd have probably hugged the man and drew the lady close, but don't really feel comfortable with that in the coronavirus, but prayed with them. I had some other parts in the service, but that was probably my most significant point of being a healing help to anyone in all of Sunday. What was your greatest moment of healing help yesterday? Do we keep dancing before the Lord, even while there is no outreach? Do I lead a church where the temple stays clean, but the wound did bleed out on a nearby highway? You see, God's dealing with us, I think, about the church being intentional in reaching to those who are filled with anger and those who are addicts. And should some of my temple time be given to healing time? That only happens when we get among the sheep and when we allow God to use us to speak into people's lives. God bless you. Thank you for being part of Ministry Monday. I'll see you next week.